Hi, perhaps you recognize me. It's your favorite president.
We will decide who comes to this country and the circumstances in which they come.
The little desiccated coconut's under pressure and he's attacking anything he can get his hands on.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
What does confrontational mean? It means you fight for what you believe.
Unless you're scripted, you're useless.
And if the yes vote is successful, we will be divided forever.
It is not merely our privilege to be strong, it is our duty to be strong.
G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of Commanding the Narrative. My name is Tripp, joined by Councillor Adam Zahra. How are you today, Adam?
I'm pretty good, Steve. How you going, mate?
Very well, thank you.
Sorry, you caught me catching down, just writing down a note. But
I had something in my throat too. I felt like I was going to cough. Good to see that we're back in the saddle again.
Well, back in the saddle, back in the old school, you know. And so we're at. I'm in the fishbowl. You're in your little fishbowl, and you know, it feels like a bit of nostalgia. It's a bit of a nostalgia episode today.
Yes, that's right. Well, how does that feel?
Oh, look, that's super nostalgic, right?
All the audio listeners were going to be thinking, what the hell are these guys talking about?
Well, just for commentary, he just flicked it back to the old screen of the ex-candidates and then put it back to the Commanding the Narrative screen backdrop. So there you go. And if I could sign language, I'd do it for the deaf people too. But how would they even see what's going on? Yes. Hear what's going on.
Let's kick it off because we've got a lot to talk about. You'd think that January would be a quiet time of year. Normally it is politically, but God, it's almost like the whole world is on fire. Pardon the pun. So let's kick it off. The best way that you can support us, which we let you know about every single week, is by heading to Buy Me a Coffee. Now, if you want to send us a few dollars there, it helps to pay for the stream, which is quite expensive, let me tell you. Helps to pay for the website. And also, most importantly, Adam, gives us a warm and fuzzy feeling inside. Isn't that right?
Well, we like that warm and fuzzy feeling. It just makes it feels like that, you know, you guys are listening and appreciating what we're doing. Just trying to bring you, I guess, real news. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, that's what it's come down to. You can't look at the mainstream media. You can't, there's no newspapers or anything anymore. Everything's, well, feels to be corrupted or slanted so far to the left that, you know, you wouldn't even know which way was right. And, you know, we just try to put our spin on some of the topics that are happening currently.
As Elon Musk says, you are the media now, and I think it's increasingly becoming that way. But if you want to contribute to us directly, you can head to commandingthenarrative.com and hit the donation button, just like Robert did this week. Adam, can you believe this? Robert sent us $1,000.
Wow.
Blown out of my mind that for such a generous donation. And he said that he was, you know, he appreciated what we're doing, and he appreciated, you know, doing this podcast every week, sometimes twice a week. And that goes a long way to helping us pay our bills. And so thank you very much. And
thank you, Robert. Really appreciate that generous donation. And we'll continue to keep bringing you what it is that you guys are, you know, liking so much.
Yeah, well, that's the main thing. Like, we would do this for free, and we were doing it for free for a long time. But the fact that people want to contribute, whether it's a $5 contribution or $1,000 contribution, it shows that they're appreciating what we're doing, and it's having an effect on them, which I think is the most rewarding thing out of anything that we do.
Absolutely. I mean, it was never the plan. It wasn't our business model or using those paradigms. I hate those stupid paradigms, but like to do this to make money. We started this. I remember Stephen, you know, gave me the phone call and said, "Hey man, like, you know, you're a pretty good campaigner." And we started talking, and he's like, after the first election, he goes, "Let's just do a podcast." He goes, Stephen was the brainchild for it. You know, it's the way of the future. Podcasts are big in America. We should start it. And it never ever became about money. I mean, Stephen just found that Buy Me a Coffee page and just put it up there for just for the ability. It was never to be promoted to do that. It was just for, you know, if somebody wanted to contribute or help us out a little bit, then they were able to. So you know, we're very grateful and thankful for those who are contributing to the podcast. It does give us the warm and fuzzy feeling. And both of us, Stephen has invested a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of knowledge, a lot of brain power into making this happen. I'm not as dedicated like that. I'll put money in here and there, just like Stephen does.
It's like a part-time job.
Well, for Stephen, it's like a part-time.
We love
job.
it. We love it. I mean, it's brought us so many great experiences and being able to network.
It's brought our friendship closer as well. I think we work well together, and we can and rest assured we don't always agree on everything. We're pretty cordial during the podcast and stuff like that. But we do debate, and we do have different points of view on different things. But it's strengthened our friendship, and it encourages us to keep going on, because I'm open to letting Stephen change my opinion or point of view with fact, and he's open to letting me change his opinion or point of view with fact. So, and that's the way all debates should be. And we're big or pro, democratic principle, and we're pro debate, and we like to chat and discuss. And we're always chatting and discussing. Our phone calls go for an hour, and our wives hate us, but it's all good, right?
Maybe they're just happy for us to be out of the house. But if you want to follow us, head to commandthenarrative.com and hit the sign up button in the top right hand corner. You'll get a weekly newsletter from me with all our podcasts, any articles that I might write, and events coming up. People are giving me some good feedback about the newsletter, which is encouraging. And more motivation for me to keep doing it. So don't rely on social media, as I always say. Head straight to the website and keep up to date there. Also coming up, if you are heading to the website and watching us recently, you would know about this rally coming up in February. It's the Freedom Rally 2025. It's on February 8th at 10 a.m. It's a Saturday. It's at Parliament House Lawn in Canberra. Now, we had a Reckless Renewables rally last year around the same time, which was a great day. Hopefully this will be better. It's a more broad concept, a more broad range of issues. A lot of the issues that we're facing at the moment as a consequence of government. So please come down to Canberra if you can. It is a Saturday, so hopefully people are not working and they can do a day trip down to Canberra, maybe go to the Mint or something afterwards and get a night. There's lots of nice food down in Canberra as well. So make a day of it and push back. I mean, we need to get more politically active. We're not, obviously these are peaceful rallies, and we're not engaging in any sort of violent protest or aggressive sort of protest. It's just everyday Australians pushing back against the government that we have at the moment.
And it's so important. It's so important. Like I've said it before, and I've said it on many podcasts in the past, but politics is in every single aspect of our lives. And I think even as a child, it never used to be in every single aspect. But what happens is, you got to think, these people are mostly odd, okay? Every politician I've ever met, they're slightly odd. They're not quite adjusted to normal societal ways. I just don't feel that they are. There are a few exceptions, not everyone, but a lot of them are, probably on the spectrum somewhere along the ways, I'd imagine. Okay. And they are in your life in every single aspect, like even from things like coming down to smart meters on your electricity. They want smart meters on your water supply and gas. When it's smart, it means that it sends information back. Okay, so there's a two-way communication stream between your house and what you're using and doing with some sort of data hub. Okay, now we've got data miners who sell data. We've got we've seen over in America when they shut off power and they do all these kind of things to mitigate, to load shed electricity. I mean, we're in Australia. We're the most we're the most resource abundant country in the world. We shouldn't have to worry about metering our electricity or turning off the air conditioner or not charging a car or whatever it is. We should be able to do whatever we want when we want. I live that way. If I want to have the AC on, I just put it on. I don't care what the government says, because it's a direct, and we'll talk about this probably with the fires as well, but it's a direct failure of government to not be able to provide you with the necessities and things that you need of modern society. Okay, so we know that energy, and we're big on energy here at Commanding the Narrative. To me, when I was doing the federal campaign, I really believe that there's 4 or 5 fundamental pillars to society, or Western or modern society, and number one is energy. Without energy, we don't have any other of the pillars. Education, health, police, all that that all falls away. Okay, so energy is crucial and number one. And I think current policy, and it's Liberal and Labor policy, have actually stifled that. And for us as Australians who are reliant on energy, your phones, your computers, this podcast, fridges, TVs, everything that there is of modern society, it's all based off electricity. Okay, your jobs are based off electricity and consumption, and we can't have jobs unless we have a steady, constant energy supply. So we need to push back against the government and tell them enough's enough, line in the sand, it's time to get involved, and peacefully let them know what should be, how you want. You're paying their bill, you're paying their wage. Like, God damn it, you're paying their wages. I'm paying their wage. Stephen's paying their wages, right? Your boss pays your wage and tells you what to do. Okay, so why is it that we pay their wage and we go, yes sir, no sir? It's the most, and I'm a counsellor, that's most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Okay, so when people come up to me in the street, I listen to them and I try to action things that they say they want me to do, whether I agree with them or not. I'll investigate it and then I'll try to figure out the best way forward for it. I mean, that's what my job is as a public servant. That's what their jobs are as well. Just because they carry some stupid title of Prime Minister or Secretary of, or whatever the hell it is. You're their boss, so get involved and tell them how it should be.
Well, speaking of the failure of government, as Adam said, if you want to push back against failure of government, head to AustraliansForBetter.com. It's just been launched, Australians for Better Government. Something that Kevin Lockray and I have been working towards, and hopefully it starts gaining more and more momentum. It has been. A lot of people have been heading to the website and signing up as members. The content, I'm starting to put up more and more content as we go, more and more issues that we want to push back and stand up against. But membership's currently free. It's not going to stay that way forever. So please head to AustraliansForBetter.com, sign up to be a member, get involved, be a part of what we're trying to achieve. And the more members that we get, the more effective that we can be, because we want to get into the face of politicians and start proposing a lot of the things that Kevin has thought up in that wonderful mind of his. So as I said, AustraliansForBetter.com, please sign up and be part of what we're trying to achieve. Don't wait, because as I said, it's currently free. So jump on that. You won't have to pay. A little bit later you might have to. We're hoping to it hasn't been made official yet, but we're hoping to have another event coming up on the day before the Freedom Rally, so February the 7th in Canberra. Hopefully that will be at Old Parliament House. It'll be like a mini constitutional convention, so just stay tuned for that. It's not official, but it should be a good event if we can get that off the ground. Now, Adam, so these wildfires in California have been taking up all the news coverage, and rightfully so. When I first heard about wildfires, I was thinking traditional wildfires going through bushland and what we would call bushfires here in Australia. I never thought that it would be whole suburbs wiped out by fire. I've never seen something like that. You would have to hark back to the London fires of centuries ago, where they couldn't contain fire there and it completely wiped out all of London. I've been getting a lot of my news from X, believe it or not. I'm not getting it. I listen to the mainstream media and it's just a whole lot of fluff, and I just can't connect with it anymore. This is a thread by someone called David Linner, who I have no idea who David Lynn is. He claims to be a citizen journalist. I really like this thread, so I think we might start with this, because I felt it's a few days old, but it was comprehensive. So there might be some updates because this is an ongoing event. But David starts out by saying that the LA fire is the most destructive in US history. At the time of this post, 29,000 acres were destroyed. $57 billion in economic damage. You would only assume that that could potentially even double. And 180,000 people have been evacuated. That's probably more now. And from what I heard before we just came on, 11 people are officially have died and 13 are missing. So that's never good news. Now, this is a map. It says that the size of the fires is greater than the entire city of San Francisco. Now, this doesn't include the Kennedy fire, which sparked up, and also the Palisades fire is continuing and growing, apparently. These are some of the images. You can see there, whole suburbs just completely wiped out. It looks like a bomb has gone through, or some sort of tornado or hurricane or something.
Looks like a Hollywood movie, doesn't it?
Well, it does. I mean, a lot of these movies are set in LA. It looks like footage from a movie, like a destruction movie. So
a doomsday movie, but it's in reality. And I mean, I've been getting a lot of feed about that as well. You know what I mean? What do you call it? Directed energy weapons, and it harks back to very similar to what happened in Hawaii, and things like that. But the biggest thing that concerned me was, and I only heard about it, I think last night, was that the fire hydrants ran out of water.
Yeah,
that is an amazing failure on behalf of the government, isn't it?
It's been a massive issue, and the other thing that people are looking into is people that are lighting fires, going around. And I read somewhere, I think it was actually part of this thread. I'll bring it back up, and I don't know if this is confirmed or not, so I better put that out there. But it's being reported that this quote from Fire Chief David Acuna. Some 95% of wildfires in LA are started by humans.
Yeah,
and which is incredible. And we heard stories about that here in Australia when we had the bushfires at the end of 2019, and a lot of people were out there starting fires. What's wrong with these people?
Well, they had fire. I think in Australia it was a firefighter who was starting fires.
Yeah.
A twisted individual. Allegedly.
Apparently that does happen. They want to feel like heroes and for putting out the fire, so they start the fire in the first place. I mean, there's definitely reports of that. There's also these reports as part of this thread as well that many insurance companies dropped people's fire protection last summer.
3 months ago.
Yeah, State Farm announced in March 2024 that it would not renew 72,000 property insurance policies. Approximately 1,600 of those were homes in the Pacific Palisades. So
and can you and I was watching something on Fox News regarding the coverage of it, and they were really just smashing the governor and the mayor and all that kind of stuff of Los Angeles regarding the inaction and inability to run the place. But yeah, it was my question is, did the insurance companies revoke insurance on fire because of the green policies that California have, where they don't do backburning, they don't do controlled burning off or cleaning of the forest and of the bushlands? Yeah. And then what happens is, when don't forget too, insurance companies have full-on teams, and I've worked for an insurance company, and they have teams of people who assess risk. And I wonder if something to do with maybe a bit of green.
They knew that this potentially could happen. This is a clip from Joe Rogan talking about this in July of last year.
With Donald Trump?
This is one of the reasons that freaked me out. And he was telling me, he goes, dude, one day, he goes, it's just going to be the right wind, and fire is going to start in the right place, and it's going to burn through LA all the way to the ocean, and there's not a fucking thing we can do about it. I go, really? He goes, yeah, we just get lucky. He goes, we get lucky with the wind. He goes, but if the wind hits the wrong way, it's just going to burn straight through LA, and there's not going to be a thing we can do about it. Because these fires are so big, dude. When they're talking about like thousands of acres that are burning simultaneously with like 40-mile-an-hour winds. and the wind's just blowing embers through the air, and those embers are landing on roofs, and those houses are going up, and they're landing on bushes, and those bushes are going up, and everything's dry. And once it happens in a way where it's so spread out that there's nothing they can do. There's nothing.
So that was Joe Rogan speaking in July of 2024. So they knew that this potentially could happen. And I mean, and then it's all got to do with the wind. I mean, they're saying climate change. Well, now the wind is a result of climate change as well.
Let's set up some wind towers, right? But I was going to say, even Donald Trump himself made some pretty brash statements. In 2018, was talking about with the governor of California about that they got to clean. There was fires back then, and he said that we have to form policy where they go back through and clean out the scrub, clean out the bush, and make it more fire resistant as per se. Like if we can control burn and clean up the area. Paraphrasing here, that a big problem would be reduced to a little problem that we could handle.
Yeah, we're watching footage of the Pacific Palisades. Look at this destruction. This is like whole suburbs, and there's a lot of focus on the celebrities and their big homes in Malibu and stuff like that. But a lot of these people, they don't have huge amounts of money. LA's one of them, a major city, but there's rich and poor in all cities. And how are people going to move on from this? I've seen footage of people crying. I mean, not only is it an economic hit, but I mean, homes are emotionally very important to people. It's where their kids grew up, or a lot of family events. It's what they've strived and worked so hard to achieve, a nice home, and a fire just comes through and completely takes everything out. You can see there in the footage, like there's some houses like right in the middle still standing. I don't know how that's possible, but that's just how fire is, I suppose.
Well, yeah, I mean it is fairly crazy, isn't it? That you see, and you see a lot of the trees there with their leaves still intact, and it's a very, very, very weird. And excuse me for maybe being a bit skeptical or a bit untrustworthy that it's just a fire burning through there that was naturally started by an arsonist or a natural fire occurrence. But I mean, look at the devastation. But you have a look at the houses.
This is Malibu. I've driven along here.
Yeah,
this is I would never imagine a huge fire would go through this area. I mean, it looks like it's right on the coast.
I know, far out. Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
And everything's just gone. I mean, that fire must have been that intense that everything is just wiped out.
I do know with being in America as well, I know that they build their houses a little bit different to how they build. We build them here as well. They use a lot of timber in their homes, and stucco boards and things like that. So they don't necessarily, they're not always brick homes. So they use a lot of timber and plank and things like that. So, I mean, that's all, far more flammable than, say, brick itself,
Yeah. Well, I mean, just think about the photos that people would have had. And I was listening to one woman. She said, I left with the clothes on my back. I didn't take anything with me. Computers, hard drives, all your information, all your belongings, possessions, just gone in an instant. It's devastating.
It's total devastation. It's a horrible, horrible experience. And our heart goes out to the people who have suffered from this fire.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, obviously, anything like this becomes political. We've touched on a little bit of it so far. This is a clip of the governor of California, Gavin Newsom. He was confronted by one of the residents.
Governor, you got a second? Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the
Why
call.
is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. and it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids. Losing
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild.
Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
It's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
I can tell you why there was.
It's a good question. Why wasn't there no water in the hydrants?
Well, Donald Trump talked about it with Joe Rogan. I don't know if you've got that clip or not.
No,
but
I don't.
In order to, you should find it. Actually, in order to save a fish, some little stupid fish. I can't remember the name of it right now. I didn't take notes of that when I was watching it. But they dump, and apparently it likes a certain kind of salinity, and it's just this low. It's like a feeder fish. It's not even endangered. But they, Californians with their full-on left-wing greeny policies.
Hey, we have it here. I mean, the
I
whole Murray Darling thing that a lot of the farmers are blowing up is about environmental flows, and they can't use their water, and they just see it all flowing out into the ocean.
That's
down
what
the river system.
Donald Trump addressed it. Donald Trump addressed it before his before he was elected. He said on Joe Rogan, he said, just because this little fish, millions and millions and millions and millions of gallons of water go just pumped directly out to the ocean, and they don't fill their reservoirs for emergencies like this. They don't do anything with the water except pump it back out to the ocean, because this particular fish likes a certain level of salinity. And the only way they can maintain that level of salinity is by pumping the fresh water and all that kind of stuff down there. So when the snowy mountains melt and all that water run off, over the sake of a fish. Now I'm not against fish, but at the end of the day, at least fill your reservoirs for goodness sake. It's not,
well, of course, Adam, the media is jumping on top of this, and it's all spin. It's all political spin.
Yeah.
Here's a clip of the media denying that the hydrants were empty.
Oh, of course.
Former LA mayoral candidate and real estate developer Rick Caruso criticizing the city's response to the windstorm and fires. He says officials should have been more prepared.
The real issue to me is twofold. We've had decades to go remove the brush in these hills that spread so quickly. And the second is you got to have water. And my understanding is the reservoir was not refilled in time and in a timely manner to keep the hydrants going. So that's a failure, whether on DWP's part or another city agency. But this is basic stuff. This isn't high science here. And it's
Now, I just want to pause it there. So this gentleman saying that there's no water in the hydrants, so the firefighters couldn't fight the fires. Just hear the reaction afterwards of the fact checkers from Fox 11, and then see what happens straight afterwards, because this is crazy.
It's all about leadership and management that we're seeing a failure of, and all of these residents are paying the ultimate price for that.
Despite what you have heard from Caruso, no firefighters have told us that they are running out of water.
And let's go out to Gigi Graciette. She is live in Pacific Palisades. I know your signal's not the best, but Gigi, what can you tell us?
Well, firefighters have told me they have no water on this block, and you may be informed that
they have no water.
Straight after they claim that was not true.
It's the worst. Look. It's a failure. It's a failure on behalf of the people who pay their taxes to have these services in place. That's why we pay taxes. That's why we're happy to fork over as much money as we do for these things, because we expect that somebody will come and save us, and then have the equipment and facilities to do it. Now, I also heard that I don't exactly know 100% how the politics works over in America between the governor and the mayor. I know the mayor is quite powerful. I don't know if it's the mayor of Los Angeles itself, or if there's a mayor for California.
So that, yeah, and the governor's like our premier. So the governor will be like the whole state.
Right. So but the mayor had just reduced funding by $17 million or something like that to the fire department, increased funding for green initiatives by 13.5 something million or whatever it was. And then was the clip that I saw was she was called out on it because she was overseas in
Guam or somewhere like that.
Somewhere Sudan or something like that. She was overseas. Yeah. I don't understand why like state politicians are overseas anyway. I don't get it. Like it doesn't make. I don't understand that. Like that's what the federal guys are for. Like the federal guys deal with federal and international, and then state guys kind of deal with state and maybe go in between states and have conferences and stuff like that. But I don't understand why they're away for so long internationally. Anyway, yes, when she got back she was overseas and it was unfolding, and she still left for her overseas trip, kind of like a bit like ScoMo did when he was in Hawaii when we had our bushfires. And then what happened was, when she got back, she was questioned, and she literally dead-eyed the reporter and said nothing in response. He even asked her, "Do you owe the people of Los Angeles an apology for not being here while this unfolded?" And there was no response. I mean, this is disgusting behavior. There was no emotion. There was no heart, no thought, no anything from it. To basically just stand there dead and do nothing and no response, not even an apology. Oh my God, citizens of Los Angeles, I'm back now. I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure you guys, I'm going to call Elon and get Starlink set up so you can communicate with your family. I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like there was nothing that was done. So,
lack of leadership. And
lack of leadership. I mean, that's what happens when you put weak people in power.
Well, we always focused on the political, and this is being spun politically. This is a post by Allegra Spender, who's the teal independent for Wentworth. Allegra says 2024 was officially the hottest year on record, and wildfires are destroying California in the middle of winter. We need to accelerate climate action before it's too late. And then she's got a screenshot of an article that says
Copernicus declares 2024 the hottest year on record, and this is how it looked.
There's no way it was the hottest year. It's like
not the hottest year.
A mild year.
Oh, the other day, so first week back at work after Christmas break, okay, went to work in jeans and a hoodie, and I worked outside that day in jeans and a hoodie. Admittedly, after I started working, I took the hoodie off, but I had to go to work in jeans and a hoodie. It was that cool. It was that cold, and we had 3 or 4 days of it with all that rain. And that was when Australian mainstream media and BOM were all talking about, this amazing heat wave and blah 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 blah, and it's going to be ridiculous.
There was one the other day. It's like we're getting 30-degree days. It's a heat wave. No, that's summer. 40 degrees might be a heat wave.
Well, remember Professor Ian Plimer was talking to us about that? A heat wave is 37.3 degrees for 3 days in a row, or something like that. That's what the definition of a heat wave is. It has to be over a certain temperature.
I can't even remember us hitting that. When in 2024 did we ever get above 37 degrees? Maybe some in January or February. That was that long ago. I can't really remember. Even though it was only a year, it seems like forever ago. But I don't know, any 40-degree days or anything like that.
Look, you know what? Put it this way. You know what? We've had a blanket folded up at the end of our bed all summer, because every now and then it gets so cool at night. Right now, I don't remember. Now let's talk about emotions, okay? Because let's face it, that's what they're left to work on, okay? Is as a child, I don't ever remember having a blanket at the end of my bed, right, during summer. It was always a sheet. We had a sheet on our bed and we used to sleep under the sheet if it got cool, right? And
maybe the lefties will just say you're getting old and soft, Adam.
Old and soft? Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, far out. Maybe that's the case, but the problem is when they use that argument, right, then they're getting old and soft as well, because they're saying that it's the hottest year ever, and I'm saying, well, no, it's not, because I've still got a blanket folded up at the end of my bed to be pulled over us if it's too cool, and we have had to use that blanket.
Surely the left are going to have to wake up to these ridiculous claims, just like Michael Schellenberger did. He was on the left, but then he's put out this post. Some reporters and scientists are blaming climate change for the lack of rain in LA. It's ridiculous. There's no trend in annual rainfall from 1877 to 2024. We have wet years and dry years. Climate change isn't responsible for the LA fires. Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass are. And
so Karen Bass must be the mayor.
She's the
I
mayor.
think Karen Bass is the mayor, yeah. And
So
she was the one who dead-eyed.
Yes. So look, Schellenberger's using evidence. He's not just using a screenshot of an article that some nobody wrote. It's
a bloody desert anyway. California is a desert. It's a desert. It's a desert state. Mostly, I've been up and down California all across the place, and it's freaking desert pretty much anyway. Coastal desert. I don't understand. There's hardly anything there. I think water has always been an issue for California because it doesn't have.
It's hot. Streams. It's hot and it's dry. And obviously, we played the Joe Rogan clip before. They've known that if the winds turn a certain way, this would be a real danger. So you would think that they would do fire mitigation, backburning, whatever it might have to be. The same thing's happening here in Australia. When we had the bushfires, they're saying there was no backburning done. They even talk about the Aboriginal people doing that in the past because they knew that you would need to create, safety corridors.
Firewalls, fire breaks.
Yeah, fire breaks. That's right. Got a clip here from Topher Field. Topher's always doing great analysis and always
good.
Bringing it back to an Australian perspective as well. So this is a clip from Topher.
These people hate you. The ones saying that the LA fires are from climate change, they hate you. We know it's not from climate change because the NASA data shows that globally the burned area is declining. The question is not why there's so many fires. The question is why are the fires we're having so devastating? And the answer is mismanagement. Gavin Newsom has failed in his job to make sure California is ready and able to fight wildfires. Donald Trump first called him out on this in 2019, and he's done nothing to improve since. As an Australian, this feels very familiar. We saw the same failure of preparation from the Victorian government in the lead up to the 2009 Black Saturday fires that killed more than 170 of my fellow Victorians. Tragically, not only did the authorities fail to prepare and do their jobs, but they actively stopped homeowners and landowners from properly preparing their own properties. Take, for example, the case of Liam. He was fined over $100,000 for clearing fire hazards from his property. Tragically, his neighbors passed away because they didn't do the same thing after he was fined $100,000. Him and his family, they stayed on their property and they survived the fires. People died because the authorities would not allow them to clear fire hazards from their own land. In a world of Gavin Newsoms, we all need to be more like Liam.
Agreed.
So we're completely overgoverned. I mean, when it comes to these issues, I mean, as Alan Jones used to say, all our problems, all our issues are the result of government at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I said that at the start. I agree. I just think ridiculous. How can, if you have your own property and you want to fire mitigate, do it. It's not our land anymore, right? But you know what? It's your land. It's your home. And if you need to protect it, you should. I really believe that.
So we'll finish up on the fires. I just want to play this last clip. This is a clip of someone trying to light fires in LA. I mean, these are the crazy people running around doing this sort of stuff.
Look, there's the guy starting the fires right there. All right, you could be crazy and come at you. Here. Nice. All right.
Oh, what the hell? Gotta run him over.
That's good. It goes in.
These people are unhinged. Completely unhinged. You can see that they're just derelicts and deranged people. They're flipped. But who the hell, like in the middle of a huge wildfire that's taking out your neighbors' homes and people are devastated. You want to walk around starting fires? What's wrong with these people?
Hey, that's the sign of the times. Hey, people are just fucked. Sorry, man, for swearing. Like, what else do you say? You know what I mean? What else do you say? Right? That person was like literally like effed, like mental case. Anyway, let's get off the fires, because it actually kind of shits me a little bit that it got that bad, and it should never have got that bad. And then when you relate it back to Australia, you know, have we been back burning? Have we been fire mitigating? Because I actually, funnily enough, went down to the beach the other week, and I actually I didn't drive. I was a passenger for the first time in probably 15 years going down to the beach. And I'm looking and I'm like, oh my gosh, the amount of bushland out Campbelltown Way heading down Appin through down to the Bulli Pass, and the amount of scrub and like low undergrowth that's there, that dries out. Again, like, you know,
there's still big questions. There's still big questions in my mind about the 2019 bushfires that we had here in Australia. Those bushfires ran straight into COVID, so they got neglected. But there were huge questions that I had about those fires, and they've just announced a high-speed rail. I'd love to overlay on GPS, like, because I was hearing reports at the time that the fires were traveling the same path as where they were proposing some high-speed rail. I don't know that. I want to investigate that further. Don't quote me on that.
No, that's allegedly. Well, allegedly they're talking about
allegedly, right?
Allegedly they're talking about 2020, 2030 smart city of LA.
Yeah, well, there's always those theories going around. Some are correct, some are not. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But you know, when I'm in the car with you, speaking about being a passenger in the car, I've been being the passenger in a car with you driving around Campbelltown, and you've shown me these huge estates where there's just rows and rows of houses, and you said, "Oh, this used to be farmland," blah blah blah, and there's bush around Appin and those areas. I mean, you know, we showed the footage before of LA of these suburban homes completely wiped out. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Campbelltown could be very similar.
Well, Campbelltown could be very similar in essence. We go around. I mean, we were told back in the day. Look, you know, back in the day, you know, you go around, you clean away any excess kind of like debris. You clean out your gutters. You know, you flush out your pipes and things like that, just to, you know, mitigate any sort of like loose leaves and stuff like that. Okay, mum and dad used to do that. I've done that for my place where I'm at. Okay, you know, you just try to reduce any sort of fire hazards as much as possible. I mean, I did a big clean out just before Christmas to try and, you know, with my business, you know, things build up at the side of the house, and I just wanted to give it a bit of a clean up, because there was no chance if embers have fallen from bushfires in Appin and stuff over Campbelltown. With the wind, if you know one happened to catch something, it would catch fire. So you got to mitigate. And on your question, the houses are so close in Campbelltown now, especially in some of the new areas. You know, Spring Farm, Harrington Grove, and not Harrington Park. That we're talking not even 900 millimeter, like not even a meter between homes. So just a house fire could trigger a whole suburb burning down almost. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, in a crazy situation, you know?
Well, in the right circumstances with the right sort of wind and conditions,
it could just go like bang, 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 just jump across the homes like quite easily. There's no room, there's no space, let alone having cars burning down there, trying to get fire engines, you know, fire trucks and things like that in there, and having, you know, even a safe work environment for firefighters. I mean, like, you know, the roads aren't wide enough anyway. So, I mean, it's pretty crazy, you know, and I think call upon the government to actually, you know, back off their green, crappy policies and start actually looking after the people.
Yeah, learn from these fires and do some preparation. But let's move off it, because it's devastating talking about it. But unfortunately, we're going to talk about something else that's devastating as well. Now, I didn't know too much about Toby Robinson. Until recently, when I saw him interviewed by Jordan Peterson. He was interviewed by him twice. Now, he's in jail at the moment. And
18-month sentence.
Yes. Now, this was related separately than the rape gangs and the grooming gangs that has become the hot topic in the UK at the moment. It's related to a separate issue of why he's in jail. But he's definitely been one of the more outspoken people trying to highlight this issue because it was swept under the rug by the authorities, which is abhorrent and obscene. So this has really sparked the debate again in the UK. Now, this is a clip I want to start off with. This is a father calling into one of the radio stations in the UK.
I'd like to talk to you about my daughter. Back in 2004, my daughter was gang raped. Pakistani Muslims from Oldham. They travelled 18 miles to my town to get to my daughter. When I found out, I phoned the police up. Now, this had been going on for a few weeks and I didn't know because I used to work 100 hours a week to pay for my kids to go to private school. And when I found out, I phoned the police up. Police constable come, 2 of them, basically told them what has been going on. Told me to let it go, otherwise I will get arrested for being racist. She could pick anybody she wanted. She was 13-year-old and he was 20.
I don't know what to say to you. I mean, first of all, thank you. Thank you for on the show. You're telling me the police genuinely said to you, let it go?
Let it go.
How do you let something like that go? Your 13-year-old daughter is being gang raped. It's being groomed by a 20-year-old, and the police are saying let it go. Otherwise, you will get arrested.
You'll get arrested for being racist.
You'll get arrested.
What was racist about the fact that saying that Islamic Pakistani men raped my daughter? What's racist about that?
It's just pointing out the situation. I mean, look, we had it here in Australia roughly around the same time, where predominantly Middle Eastern gangs were targeting Australian women and gang raping them here in Australia. It was a massive story at the time.
I wouldn't. Has that stopped, or has that story been suppressed? That's this. When I started doing a little bit of research on this particular topic for this particular podcast, it really scares me, because is it a failure of multiculturalism? And multiculturalism basically is a 2-tier form of government that minorities get preferential treatment over majorities. And it just worries me that people who are getting that's the point of it. The father rings up the police station for help and protection to prevent further crimes and to get justice for a crime that's happened, and then he's threatened with being arrested for being racist. Do you see something wrong with that picture?
I want to throw a little bit of a spanner in the works, and obviously this is I don't know any of this. I'm just putting it out there as a thought, and people can make up their own minds and come to their own determinations. We're focusing on the racial element of this, where we're being increasingly, through the Epstein case and a lot of other cases, we're increasingly hearing that the world is built on pedophilia. It's almost like a currency, supposedly amongst the elites. They use it to blackmail people, but it's also there's some satanic connections there as well. Now, maybe some people in authorities may welcome this behavior of particular gangs going around and engaging in these activities, because they think, well, maybe we need to normalize this or whatever, or who knows what they're thinking. The reason why I come to this conclusion, and I've been looking at, you can go on X, and I want people to type in pedophiles crying, because there's groups of British citizens that go around and they set these pedophiles up. And I've got some clips. I wasn't going to play these clips of them confronting these people, because I thought, well, this will probably lead to legal issues, and you don't want to sway these cases before they go to court, what have you. But when I was checking my X account this morning, there was a post by Nigel Farage, who's the leader of Reform UK, and he posted this clip, which is a former Labor Defence Minister, Ivor Kaplan, being confronted by some of these pedophile catchers.
You told this child that you was going to go and meet him.
That wasn't because Stephen will be at work.
At 1 o'clock, you said that you was going to go and meet him at quarter to.
If we could. I don't know. Trains, etc.
Yeah,
etc.
you see.
I don't know.
But wait. But here's the slippery thing. You said you have no intention, but now you concede that actually, yeah, I might have been planning to take this child to meet Stephen. So you admit that that's what you were trying to do.
I don't know his age.
You know his age accurately. This child regularly.
If I knew his actual age,
this
and
child.
I don't know that, then I wouldn't do anything. Obviously.
This child regularly told you that they were at school and they were doing school-related activities.
Yeah, but that's not the same as knowing age.
So, former Labor Defence Minister
of the
arrested.
UK.
Arrested.
In the UK.
Yeah, in the UK. In the.
So we'll just make it clear because it's not Labor. It wasn't Labor Australia. It was Labor UK.
Yep.
Just to be clear, just for any sort of whatever.
And here's the footage of him, the police arresting him. So this is not just fantasy. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that it's not just Pakistani rape gangs going around doing this. Of course, that's a big issue, but this is
systemic.
This goes further and it's wider. This is a real massive issue around the world.
Around the world, all governments around the world, all levels of all different classes of people are being affected by this, or interacting or partaking in that kind of activity, which is very, very unsettling, and makes me feel good that I'm so protective of my ones. You know what I mean? Because both of us have daughters. I've got 3 daughters. I've got 3 daughters. You know, you've got a daughter.
Yeah.
You know, like we have to protect our youth. We have to protect our children.
And I heard reports that there were about 1 million cases of these rape gangs, in the UK. Now that's not 1,000. That's not 1 million girls. These are some of the girls getting raped repeatedly, which was the case, and they were getting physically beaten with black eyes and horrific things happening to them. Apparently, if you read the articles or read the testimonies, you can't even imagine how horrific these instances were. But I want to say how.
Sorry, Stephen, cut you off. I sent you a link, which that you should post in our comments. It's a very long video. It's about 1 hour and 38 minutes, and it's actually of I think it's called The Free Press, and this lady hosts it, and she had 2 feminists. But I think there's different sides of feminism, so I'm not 100%. I want to watch it again anyway, but I was just watching it, and they were talking about it, and they agreed on some points and disagreed on some points. But we should put that in the clip, because they talk about, there was one instance that one of the ladies reported on where a young girl was abused and raped. She went to the police. The police told her to sober up and come back with an adult. Okay? She left the police station, was then again picked up by 2 more individuals, again assaulted, like the R word, rape, right? Left on the street, picked herself up, went to somebody else who then again picked her up and then got done again. So this is like, this poor girl was repeatedly assaulted, okay, like 6 or 7 times. Then to the end was given money for a bus by her assailant, okay? Went to get a bus, someone else picked her up, took her back to a house with 4 other guys and did it and repeatedly continued it. This is in one night for one girl who was at the police station and then sent home on her own. Okay, so this was an article. This is in that clip that we'll post in the link. I can't remember. It was at about the 38-minute mark or something like that. It was absolutely horrific, and that was one story. That's just one case of these million that we're hearing about. No wonder why Tommy Robertson's up in arms about it. Okay, and I know he was done because he was caught. He got arrested because he defamed some Islamic guy, and that's why he's in prison now for defaming.
It was a separate issue, but he's been correct. Now I want to show. As I said, I wasn't going to show these clips, but since Nigel Farage has put that clip out there of the former UK Labour minister, I mean, this stuff's out there. It's already on social media. You can type it in. You can find it yourself. I want to play this clip because it shows how weak these people are. These not the victims, but the perpetrators. How weak they are when they're confronted about this. This is one guy that got caught. Again, allegedly, but you can judge by the footage yourself.
You started talking. Every day you want to come down here and meet this child.
I'm really sorry, please. Please.
Are you lucky it's an ambulance? You want to be along next?
I'm really sorry, please.
You're not even crying.
I'm not begging, please.
Yeah, I'm sure that I'm begging, please, as well.
So what would you have done with this child then, which turned up here? So you're lucky it's a team like us that's turned up. Can you imagine if that was her mum and dad that turned up here?
Oh my God.
You think you'd be standing here?
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
Too late for sorry. Have you got kids of your own?
Yeah, 6-year-olds.
Yeah, you got your own kids, you scumbag.
Oh.
You absolute scumbag. You got kids of your own.
I'm really sorry.
Look, you know what? I'm not advocating violence, but
there's footage of that too. I'm not going to play the violent, but there's footage where there was a bunch of African American guys had caught someone and they were whipping him.
I know. I know what I would do in a situation like that. And
yeah. Well, look. I mean, that clip that I played is not uncommon. Here's another one.
Hey, what are you crying for? Hey, put yourself back. Hey, shush. Hey,
don't spoil my life, please. I love you for my life.
You've done it. You've done this. Hey, calm yourself down. You've done this to yourself. Don't stand there crying.
These are people that were on social media accounts knowing full well they were speaking to children that were underage, and they organized to meet these children with the intention of having sex with them.
Well, grooming them.
Now they're crying like little bitches because they know how pathetic and weak they are.
Hey, mate, those people don't deserve the air that they breathe. Those kind of people, and it's so prolific. I think that's the scariest thing about it. It's just everywhere at all levels of society.
Yep.
And what they've done, and in that clip that I watched, that documentary, they've monetized it. So they're grooming. They're sending in kids. They're sending in young kids to get groups of girls, and then they're, giving them alcohol and smokes and weed and showing them a good time. You know what I mean? And the group of younger individual, like males, and I think even female recruiters, they're targeting more vulnerable.
Well, that's why they call them grooming gangs, because they would groom. And that's what it's a common trait amongst pedophiles, is that they groom.
The thing is that grooming is such a soft word. You know what I mean? I groomed my beard this morning. You know what I mean? Like, it's more than that. So they're raping and trafficking vulnerable individuals.
How are you going to feel when we get to minor attracted persons?
Oh, this is disgusting, because I've written that down. because that's what they're trying to say, right? And this is how you know, and this is how people should realize that this is real. Now, I came across minor attracted individual, that phrase, very early on, probably in around about 2019, and happened to pop up on some part of a news feed or something like that. It was when I was starting to get involved politically, and I started searching like different political things and started to try and, you know, build up knowledge and things like that about what's going on in Australia and around the world. And they actually have formal rallies where minor attracted individuals go, like what you would see, like you know, where you would see a politician.
Well, there's NAMBLA in the US. Let me see if I can find it.
It is, and that's a big organization pushing this agenda, isn't it?
Yeah, the North American Man Boy Love Association.
Yeah, and then they were holding rallies. When we're talking about a theater of 20,000 people would go there and like cheer this shit on. You know, and I don't see, like, you know, who cares about the adult in this situation? You know, this is disgusting. This is disgusting. So bad. I hope that Donald Trump really does. You know,
NAMBLA calls for the empowerment of youth in all areas, not just the sexual. So it includes the sexual.
Not just, yeah.
We support greater economic, political, and social opportunities for young people and denounce the rampant ageism that segregates and isolates them in fear and mistrust. Like, what the hell? What planet are these people on that they're writing this garbage? We believe sexual feelings are a positive life force. We support the rights of youth as well as adults to choose the partners with whom they wish to share and enjoy their bodies. That's disgusting.
It is disgusting. It is disgusting. Because you know what? You know, you're under 18, you can't vote. You know, you're under 18, you can't drink. This is in Australia. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and then, you know, but the thing is too, like, I mean, have a look at it. Like all the organizations, right? Even the United Nations. And I know Malcolm Roberts brought it up and sent through something once about the United Nations and about their charter and how what they're trying to do for educating children and where they should be at levels of understanding sexuality and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, they start at kindergarten. I mean, they even in daycares, you know, they even in the daycare charter, I mean, they talk about, you know, celebrating the Mardi Gras and letting the children, like babies, watch the Mardi Gras festival in Australia. Like, this is in, you know, there's all these little things that, you know, so they will understand and have an awareness from like in daycare. And then kindergarten, you know, the 5, 6 year olds will know a certain level. And then year 1, 2, 3, you know, and by the time they were in year 6, they would have had full sexual experiences and know what's what. You know what I mean? Like, mate, year 6, I was trying to be a Transformer or Iron Man or something, not talking about not talking about sex at that age. You know what I mean?
Well, this is the thing. You're bringing up the Mardi Gras and exposing young children to that. Well, that's not to be homophobic against people that are gay or lesbian, but what is the Mardi Gras about? It's about your sexuality. Otherwise, you wouldn't have it. I mean, you'd just be like everyone else. The thing that defines you is your sexuality, who you choose to partner with, and who you choose to be intimate with.
Well, do you see a parade? Do you see a parade on the?
And all of these people are walking around without any clothes on.
But do you see a parade where there's a man, woman, and their 2 children walking down the street celebrating that they're, you know, you don't see, like, this is the thing. And this is the thing about, this is what I was, you know, this is this multicultural kind of 2-tier government kind of thing, right? So what happens is not just multicultural, but obviously with the LGBT movement and things like that, is that, you know, a minority is given special leniency, right? So, you know, if you are at a Mardi Gras festival, okay, so indecent exposure in Australia is illegal, right? So you can't stand on the side of the road and take a whiz, and there's a certain way you have to do it where you're not exposing your genitalia to on passing traffic, right? And that's where it becomes legal. You can do that, okay? So you can go behind a tree I think you have to stand behind your car door and kind of pee into the corner of your car, right? So that people can't see your genitalia, right?
Councillor Adam Zahra is telling you that you can legally take a piss on the side of the road, provided that you're hiding.
Right. So apparently, this is my understanding of the rules, right? But then you can have on February, whatever it is coming up, right? You'll have men and women walking down the street, like butt naked, covered by the ABC and broadcast nationally.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, look, I think we should make the separation between gay and lesbian people and pedophiles.
I'm not saying that they are.
Yeah, because
I agree.
Yeah, but the point I think you're trying to say is that we shouldn't be sexualizing children, and some of these issues are adult concepts and adult issues, and young people, 13-year-old. I mean, as you said, they should be focused on Transformers and cartoons, and hanging out with their friends and going to the playground and issues like
Santa
that.
Claus and fairies, mate. That's a kid's life.
Yeah. Now, Graham's in the chat. Welcome, Graham. Good to see you again. Graham says, I agree. It begins in our schools and ends with our politicians. But I want to raise this because I saw a lot of these clips on X, and it's becoming a platform which a lot of these platforms used to be a way of getting these clips out, and then it comes to people's discernment on whether they want to believe it or look into it more and what have you. Mark Zuckerberg is now jumping on the bandwagon as well. He's put out a clip saying that Facebook are going to move away from fact checkers and embrace a more community notes type thing, which I think community notes is quite good. I used that when researching the wildfires in LA. There was a few clips that were put up that the community notes push back against, and it's great. You can read it straight away, you can see it, and not have to rely on these fact checkers that were clearly politically biased, because this is what
bought and sold.
This is what they're saying now. So this is what Zuckerberg, who seems to have a coming to Jesus sort of moment, this is what he had to say.
Hey everyone, I want to talk about something important today, because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms.
So Trump won.
Mr. Trump, please don't close down my platform, and please don't arrest me for going against the Second Amendment or First Amendment, whatever it is. You know what I mean? First Amendment.
They're all just bending the knee to Trump and going along with the tide. I mean, they can see that the people are shifting back to more free speech platforms. They don't like the censorship. We know we're heavily censored on Facebook. People tell us all the time that they can't find our content, etc., etc. I mean, this is the result of this guy's company, and now he's saying, "Oh no, it's all I gave a speech 5 years ago, and blah blah blah, and we want it to be an open platform now." Okay.
Sorry, I'm so sick of the word sorry. Just like those horrible clips that you're showing before. Okay, in a different light, he's basically there saying, "Hey, sorry, I didn't mean to, censor millions of people, a political opinion, or prevent other people, not politicians, but prevent the people being able to see alternative points of view."
Well, where would we be if Elon Musk hadn't bought X?
You and I could probably be sitting in Canberra right now. Oh no,
Oh,
I mean no. If he
I'm
didn't,
saying
if he
hadn't.
sorry, if Elon Musk had bought X prior to us campaigning and things like that, you know, you and I could have been very well sitting in bloody Canberra.
Well, Graham says participation on Facebook has been declining for years. Competition is why Zucker is now begging for people to come back.
100% agree with you. I was just about, that was another point that I was going to make. You got Rumble, you got Truth Social, you got all these X now, right? You got all these different platforms.
Getter,
Okay?
we do so well on Getter. Our clips are getting tens of thousands of views on Getter.
Really?
Believe it or not. Yeah.
Okay.
So check out Getter as well. If anyone out there, if you're looking for another platform.
Well, Getter supporting us, we support them, right?
Hmm.
I mean, you know, this is the thing. I mean, you know, what happens is the world's not social like it used to be. You know, it's not sitting around campfires. It's not having street barbecues and communicating with your community anymore. Now it's all on the phone. I mean, you know, I can. It's good for, like, you know, Stephen and I to communicate with social media and, you know, WhatsApp and things like that, so we can have a bit of a chat and organize shows or whatever we're going to, and just chat in general because we're far away from each other. But you know, you got brothers and sisters, mums and husbands, fathers and wives, wives and husbands, sorry, sitting in rooms in a house communicating through text messaging and social media. You know, we're not together like we used to be, where you would see your neighbor and have a chat and go, oh, what about those bloody wild bushfires in LA and this, that, the other. You know what I mean? People are sending each other messages on social media now. So it's kind of like, it's a forum of free speech. If you're going to have a platform like that, it should be free. Now, I do agree with one thing, you know, like, you know, there was terrorists, beheadings and stuff like that. I don't believe those things should be, as soon as they go up, they should be taken down. You know, you don't want to give air to things like, to acts of terrorism and stuff like that. But that's pretty clear cut. That's you know, somebody's beheading somebody else. It's a pretty clear cut thing of, hey, we don't need to see this. We shouldn't see this. It shouldn't be on there, right? Okay. But if you're having somebody have it, but we were getting censored for things like saying that coal-fired power stations are better for Australia than.
Well, we've been deleted on YouTube a number of times. One of the big ones is COVID misinformation, and there was also one with Jeff Grimshaw that got deleted because of election misinformation, because he was talking about the 2020 election result in the US presidential election. And I guess I don't know what he said, because it doesn't tell you what you said. It doesn't even give you a chance to dispute it or anything, or see whether it was taken out of context or what. You just get deleted. And that's why we moved so heavily over to Rumble.
But that's the world of AI, though. So AI doesn't give you an option to negotiate, to barter, to deal with it.
Yeah. Now, in all of this, Richard Storch always tells me that generals are always fighting the last war. And I think in some cases, politicians are even worse. Now, Anthony Albanese has had something to say about this. Anthony Albanese defends teen social media ban after Zuckerberg's Trump embrace. So while America and seemingly the rest of the world are moving to more open free speech platforms, Albanese is doubling down on censoring the internet. It just shows the direction that Australia is moving in and the direction that America is moving in.
Because you know, because I'm going to tell you something. If you had to look up the definition of out of touch, you would see a picture of Anthony Albanese's face, and he'd just say like, because God damn it, guy. I think just, can he resign? I mean, look, can he resign? I mean, should he resign? He should resign. Go away.
Graham says anything within the law should be fair game. People should be allowed to share their views. Actually, they should have the right to have an opinion.
Yeah, but Graham, so what happens is then they change the laws to make what your opinion is illegal. That's what they did with us with COVID, as you know. You know, so what happens is it was illegal for you to say, hey, I took ivermectin for a few days and mate, never got sick once, or you know, you couldn't
Mel
talk
Gibson
about.
was just saying that on the Joe Rogan podcast, that how ivermectin and a few other
cured
things.
3 of his friends of cancer.
Stage 4 cancer.
Bendazole.
Yeah, that's
and then Bendazole, I watched that one too. And then there was ivermectin. They're talking about what's it called? It's a black seed oil, some black seed oil. I can't remember
Yeah,
now.
and there's a blue food dye. I can't remember what.
Yeah, the
I'm
blue
not-
food dye. People are just drinking it and it's killing cancer. It's like, far out, mate. Like,
Man, get your own advice on these things. Obviously,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
only repeating what.
No,
other
we're just
people-
commentating. We're commentating on things that have been said. Like, we're not saying
We're not telling you to.
don't go do it. Here you is. But what I'm saying, like, I mean, that's how scary it's become now. That you say one thing and you're like, oh, wait a minute, here's the disclaimer. Every you
should
should
be
be
allowed to
walking
talk
around
about
with it, like,
things. Yeah.
you shouldn't be walking around. I'm not saying to go take the shit. All right, like I'm saying, hey, there is alternative medicine. There is alternative ways to kill the same pig, right? So you need to bloody research it yourself, guys. Get out there and have a look at the alternatives.
Now, speaking of politicians stepping down, how you said Albanese should step down. Well, in Canada, Justin Trudeau has stepped down. So no more Justin. This was him speaking when he announced his resignation.
I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process.
Now, why
3 months
does he need to speak and make it sound so contrived and so staged and unreal? I mean, it's just sickening. I mean, he's not even really saying anything. He's announcing his resignation, but he's annoying me just by the way that he's speaking. Why does he have to speak like that?
And the thing is, too, he stopped. So he's still prime minister.
It doesn't resonate. It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel genuine. It just feels completely scripted and staged.
Well, just another cock in the wheel, mate. Not cock. Like, what can I say? Like, I mean, I'm literally sick of this shit. Like, literally sick of all this crap that's going on. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, here's the alternative in Canada, and I'm going to butcher his name. Pierre Poilievre.
I heard it. Yeah.
He's the opposition. He's the opposition leader. He's the leader of the Conservative Party in Canada. Now, this is a clip of him speaking to someone, and you can see the stark contrast in the delivery and the how authentic he is.
On the topic, I mean, in terms of your strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean?
Well, appealing to people's more emotional levels, I would guess. I mean, certainly you tap very strong ideological language quite frequently.
Like what?
Left wing, this and that, right wing. I mean, it's that type of ideological thing.
I never really talk about left or right.
Anyways,
I don't really believe in that.
Okay, a lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well, great many Canadians, but
like who? You're the one who asked the question, so you must know somebody.
Okay, I'm sure there's some out there, but anyways, the point of this question is, I mean, why should Canadians trust you with their vote, given not just the sort of ideological inclination in terms of taking the page out of Donald Trump's book, but
what are you
also
talking about? What page? What page? Can you give me a page? Give me the page.
All right.
All the while he's just munching on an apple.
That's like, I'll give that guy I'll give him time. I think maybe he could be possibly a good leader. I don't know anything about him. Just from that, sitting there chewing on an apple, going, "Yeah, well, you're accusing me of this. I just want to know who's saying it," and then the guy, it just goes to show, that reporter wasn't even very professional.
No, but there's a sense of arrogance there. There's a sense of he's I don't know, looking down on this guy, but I mean it's authentic, and it's just like, hey mate, you're interviewing me, you're making these wild claims, back it up, support it. You're meant to be a journalist.
Yeah, that's it. Just say what page. I love that. What page of Donald Trump's book?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that we should.
Because you read that in articles, like you read these articles that they write in the Guardian or the Sydney Morning Herald or what have you, and it says, all these claims. They'll make all these claims, so they won't back it up with any quotes or evidence or nothing.
No, show us the paper.
Yeah, show us where people have said this. I mean, people were saying this. Okay, well, show us where people have said that.
Well, was it him talking to a few of his, lefty mates in the canteen, right?
Yeah.
And talking about, this guy's just, taking the book out of the page out of Donald Trump's book. And, what page is it? You know what I mean? Like, the thing is, politically involved, like, the big issues are energy, health and safety of the people, food supply and all that kind of stuff. I mean, everyone around the world has the same issues, right? Like core issues. I mean, every country's got their individual niches and stuff.
It's scary how many of these issues overlap. And I was late to the party on Pierre Polivier. I'm hoping I'm saying that correct.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I'm late to the party on him because I saw him interviewed by Jordan Peterson recently. He's the second interview that they did. And you could close your eyes and take Canada out of the situation and put Pierre in Canberra and have him speak about the same issues that he's speaking in Canada, and it would be applicable to here in Australia as well. He's talking about Canada being a resource-rich country. He's talking about immigration issues. He's talking about housing and cost of living. Canadians can't afford homes. It's the same issues that we're facing here
because it's destruction of the Western civilization, and all the West have the same issues because it's been categorically attacked of the way of our way of life. So when those systems start getting broken down by whoever it is, because the elites or the black hats or whoever you want to call them, I don't even, right? Whatever that is, of whoever's got their bee in a bonnet about the Western world and civilization, what they've done is break down Western society. Okay, so America has the same issues with housing affordability, and they're mineral-rich country as well. Canada's the same. Australia's the same. England are at the forefront of full destruction. I don't know how mineral-rich England particularly is, but they're like, let's say, one of the first Western civilizations. They colonized Australia. America had to revolt against them to claim independence.
Yeah, Canada, New Zealand,
Right.
South Africa, Rhodesia.
Right. So they started the Western world and Western civilization in essence, right? Modern Western civilization, right? And
Well, they were the most
bullshit that's going on.
You could argue that they were the most successful at doing so because France and Spain and other countries, the Netherlands, tried to do that as well. And you can't really point to any countries that France colonized that are equivalent of Australia or Canada or New Zealand.
No.
So the
No,
British, whether it's for better or worse, they were more successful at that venture.
Well, I'm gonna say it. They were for better, because otherwise we wouldn't be living the way we live. We wouldn't be,
Well, Donald Trump is now talking about Canada being another state of America because he's saying that it's on the trajectory, on the wrong trajectory. He's also talking about the Panama Canal and reclaiming that.
Take ownership of it.
He's talking about Greenland. Now, with a lot of this talk, I feel that there's a lot of the art of the deal in
The Gulf
in
of
this.
Mexico becoming the Gulf of America.
Gulf of America, yeah. Like, come out with these grandiose statements that completely baffles everyone, but it's not really what you want. What you want is a few steps below that, but you're going to go into a negotiation. So let's aim for the sky, the moon, the stars first, and then negotiate your way down. That's the art of the deal. But this has sparked debate, particularly here in Australia. And there's been a post here.
53rd state.
This is from Chadwick Moore. It's got a map of Australia, and it says, "I don't want to give Trump any more ideas, but these guys don't have guns anymore."
Yeah.
Talking about Australia becoming another state of America. Now, look, I don't think any of this is ever going to happen. I can't see Canada becoming a state of the US. I don't think it's particularly a good idea. I think It's beneficial for these nations to retain their individual sovereignty because, great, it's fantastic that Trump is president of America now, but it was only a few months ago. Well, officially, currently, Joe Biden's still president of America. So, I mean, Australia or Canada, I'm sure they don't want Biden being their leader.
So I'm not sure about Australia because, you know, they voted Albanese in.
Well, who's worse? That's the big question. Who's worse, Albo or Biden? I suppose
I don't know.
I
would say Albo is probably worse because he still has a semblance of competency.
We still knows where he is.
Well, that's what I mean. He's not, you know, shitting his pants and
you can give Biden the pass in a way because he's so out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what? How do you feel about this? Do you feel that Australia should become another state of America?
I think some would argue that we already are, aren't we? Aren't we a corporation registered under the USA blah 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 and have a tax file number and all that shit set for America or whatever? Aren't we owned by American already? Oh, that's what people say. I don't understand any of that personally, but that's what people would say.
Well, speaking of Albo, he's come out and he's now saying that, or at least proposing the idea that Australia should switch to 4-year fixed terms.
Of course, he would want that.
And now this is something that Mr. Sambuno has been talking about, and I want to quote Sambuno because he always says, "I got that wrong." I think he's got this one wrong. I think this clearly shows that Albanese is admitting that he's got no clue because he hasn't been able to do anything in 3 years. He's failed on everything that he's put out there, whether it be The Voice, that was a massive failure. He said he was going to reduce people's energy bills by $275 per year. That didn't happen.
I think it went up by $275 a quarter.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised. He's been a complete and utter failure. I mean, the biggest failure the biggest failure in my opinion is Peter Dutton because he should be miles ahead based on where Albanese's at. So of course Albanese wants to go to 4-year terms because it's just another excuse. Oh well, I didn't have long enough to do what I wanted to do. Well, mate, it's looking like you're going to be a one-term government, a one-term prime minister.
The problem is that everybody in the past has had the same standing, the same terms, and then what happens is you're just changing the ballpark, aren't you? Like you're just changing the game, like you're just changing the game. You can't change the game. There's been prime ministers in the past who've done a lot in 3 years.
Yeah, well, you never heard John Howard complaining about it. You never heard Bob Hawke complaining about it. Maybe there's a clip out there of them mentioning it. I don't know, but I never heard them talking about 4-year terms. They just got stuck into it.
Well, the idea is that okay, everyone gives you that link. Australians traditionally give you a second term once you voted in, right? Provided that you're working towards something. Okay, the fact of the matter is that it's been an epic failure since day one with Albanese. Proves that he shouldn't deserve a second term. I'm still not, you know what I mean? So what happens is if he was in touch with the people, okay, and all right, so I think you can forgive the failure of the referendum. It was a shit referendum anyway, so like it was very racist and divisive from the start. Okay, so you can, all right, that one didn't go through, but that was on the people. That's out of your control. Okay, so that was a referendum on the people. Okay, but energy policy is under his control, right? So, taking steps towards, okay, making energy affordable and reliable in Australia is definitely under his control. And that's not to do with the vote or to do with anything like that. He can simply, through the caucus and all that, change policy and start redirecting the way the path is going. If people saw that, then you could say, well, that might deserve a second term, if you get what I'm saying.
Well, look, Graham says Albanese is pathetic. Dutton is a dud.
Agreed.
Australia has no real alternative. So when we think about 4-year terms, maybe you should think about the UK with Keir Starmer right now, who's only just started his prime ministership, and he's got a 5-year term. 5 years. So we've got to think about these people. Albanese's complaining about 3-year terms. He's been in the parliament for 30 years. He can't make the argument that, you know, there was a transition period and we had to learn how to be in government. I mean, Chris Bowen, Tanya Plebiscite, Penny Wong, the whole list of them were in government previously under Gillard and Rudd. They should know what government is about and how to operate themselves. You can't use the excuse that 3 years is too short a time. It should be moved to 4. And there's a danger of them being in Parliament longer because they are more destructive. Now, here's an example. This is Sky News talking about Chris Bowen, who's, I guess, you know, making a mess of everything.
We have more proof Chris Bowen is the most dangerous minister in Albanese's cabinet and a clown at the same time. The Australian reports the energy minister weaponised the public service by instructing his department to produce entirely flawed figures to allege Peter Dutton's nuclear energy plan would see a 49% electricity shortfall by 2035. The Department of Climate Change and Energy now says what it did was not an analysis of the coalition's nuclear energy proposals, but an assumption-driven calculation.
This is our government. These people want 4-year terms. They want us to increase their terms so they can do more of this.
No, I like your point. Whereas, you know, in 3 years, it's hard. You know, you can be destructive, but you might be able to reverse it. In 4 years, it just makes it a lot harder to reverse, doesn't it? I mean, you know, things can get knocked down, things can get built in 4 years. You know, like, you know, you can put a lot of shit wind towers up before you have to, you know, in 4 years to knock them and then have to knock them down. You know, you might get.
It highlights the danger of the longer the term, and I can look. I think 3. You wouldn't want to go less than 3. You wouldn't want 2-year terms or anything like that. But I don't agree with 4-year terms. We just don't. I mean, especially since Howard, since 2007, we haven't had one leader in this country that has deserved a 4-year term.
Yeah,
they've all been almost catastrophic to this country.
It's all been pretty. We've had what's that? 12 years now. 13 years.
No, more than
07.
that.
No, because Kevin 07. So it was.
Yeah.
So it was 20 years. 17 years of poor governance, and you can see that. And look, I don't necessarily think that John Howard was, you know, 100% for the people, by the people, for the people all the time, but in general, he was pretty damn good compared to what we've got, what we've had in the last 17 years, and this is the shortfall of it. You know, saying that you can't run an air conditioner. Saying that you can't charge, everyone can't charge their car at night. All these stupid things that you can't do. You know what I mean? Like, it just shows that it's not about the people for the people. And this is my, I don't care what side of government you're from. Okay. Left, right, center, up, down, whatever, right? If it's for the people, by the people, then we should be on a fairly straight trajectory towards a better Australia. You know,
you shouldn't have to. And if you're a good government, you shouldn't have to worry about whether it's a 3-year term or a 4-year term or a 2-year term.
You're going to get voted in again. Agreed. And that's this is what it is.
Graham's made an interesting point. Maybe we can discuss this. I wasn't planning on discussing this, but I think this was started by Joel Jamal. He's been putting this out there about the year 2028 and there being a political realignment, at least with the minor parties. Graham says Aussies need to look towards 2028. A well thought out, well organized new political party could create change. It needs to be a grassroots party with clear policies. Now, as I said, Joel Jamal's been talking about in 2028, possibly Pauline Hanson would step aside, and then the minor parties, One Nation, Libertarians, the remnants of UAP, maybe some others would merge, and the new party would grow out of that. People have been calling for this for a long time. I don't particularly think that we should be resting all our hopes on that happening, or the potential of there being enough talent within these parties, not candidate wise. I think there's good candidates, but how these parties are run internally, don't rest your hopes on.
I wouldn't. It's that won't happen. You know what Australia needs? Australia needs a strong leader.
Yep.
That will pull the right people together.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not about having one nation and UAP and libertarians and all that Australia first and whatever the hell it is, all come together with all those egos and all that BS that goes on. What you need is, you know, a Trump-like figure, right, in Australia that will pull the right people together.
Well,
Okay,
the other
and that
countries seem to
movement.
have- I mean, there's Donald Trump, there's Nigel Farage, there's Pierre Poilievre. I'm hopeless at French, so I'm probably destroying that. But
Yeah,
Poilievre. We don't. I don't have that faith in Peter Dutton.
No,
I think he was good on the nuclear. I applauded him on the nuclear policy, but he needs probably at least 2 policies equivalent.
Well, then he supported the misinformation, disinformation, didn't he? What it was?
Yeah.
Right, like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, the Liberals did vote against it eventually, but then they voted for the under 16 social media ban.
Right. So under 16 social media ban is a ban for everyone anyway, right? Because everyone still has to prove their freaking identification and all this kind of crap. It's just stupid. No, we need. You know what? We need Australians for better government.
Yes, we do.
Right? And that's what that's about. Okay, so that's about going through, and well, I don't know, my vision of it, or my you know, contribution to it will be about finding the light in the darkness. I mean, Australia needs a bloody hero. That's what Australia needs, a bloody hero, right? Somebody.
It's got to start with the discussion. And
Yes.
This is what Australians for Better government is all about, starting the discussion on, do we need to reform our constitution? Do we need to look at how separation of powers and how, you know, the incestuous relationship that the legislature and the executive have with each other, even the judiciary has with each other, improving the quality of the vote. If you want to know more about that, go and watch the interview that I did with Kevin Lockray last week, where he did a whole presentation on ideas of how we can improve the vote in this country, and enshrining our freedoms as well. We need to look at that. Why are some of our freedoms not enshrined in the Constitution?
We
Is
should
common
never
law
ever.
good
We
enough?
should never ever be locked down and forced to take shit and not allowed to speak our mind. Okay, especially if it's not harming anyone. You know what I mean? And this and you know, all this has come out. This is all said and done. So any sort of this debate is moot on this topic. We should never have been locked down. We should never have worn masks. The kids should never have gone to school, never not gone to school. Okay, and that's just been proven, right? So
And people shouldn't have lost their jobs because they didn't take a medical procedure.
how many of us had to restructure our life? How many of us have lost time of our lives? You know what I mean? Like, how many of us had to now, like, we lost 4 years of our lives.
Yep.
Right? We were in limbo. We couldn't move forward. We couldn't do anything.
Graham says, I reckon we need someone with Mark Latham energy, someone who can speak directly. Well, maybe not tweet like Mark Latham, but
I rate Mark. I'm fond of Mark. I like Mark.
see, this is the problem though. We've had our
He's
Donald
been there.
Trumps. We've had our Donald Trumps in this country. We've had people like Pauline Hanson. Potentially, maybe you could put Mark Latham in that box. Clive Palmer. These people just haven't lived up to where they need to be. They haven't lived up to the mark. They've fallen well short.
And they continue to fall well short, unfortunately. You know what I mean? Like Mark. I like Mark Latham, and I think he would 5 years ago, it would have been great. It would have been great if he got in over knowing the man like a little bit more personally from like my experiences with campaigning and stuff like that. He would have been way better than Albo. Way better than Albo.
Oh, well, look, here's the thing. He went up against John Howard, who was an incredibly successful prime minister. Now,
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would want Mark Latham over John Howard, because who would you want over John Howard? There's not many people that you would want to beat John Howard. But had Mark Latham won that election, we wouldn't have had Kevin Rudd.
That's right.
So you do,
And that was and let's face it, that was really the start of the downward spiral, wasn't it? That
it
whole
was like It's like going off a slippery dip or jumping out of
that
a
whole
plane.
mess. It's just been a
mess.
It's been a nightmare. And liberals were just shit too. Like it's not been good.
Yeah.
Right? Labor or Liberal, it's just been shit. And unfortunately, that's where it's up to all of you out there not to be apathetic and to be involved. And you should understand what your politics is about, what the politicians are about, the people who are representing you. You need to know. You need to understand what they're about, and you need to put your vote behind the people who align with you. And that's the way it's going to be.
We've discussed a lot of issues today. As I said, normally January is a quiet time, but there's probably other issues that we could talk about as well. It's jam-packed with things, but let's finish off with something that, Adam, you'll probably be interested in. I know you're scared of this issue of AI and emerging technologies. Although
I will say, I used ChatGPT for the first time the other day.
Yeah.
And the world didn't end. So that was a good thing.
Well, it might end with this. Let's have a look.
This is Aria. So this is our flagship humanoid AI-powered robot. She's highly realistic. She has her own social media, so she might be competing with you one day. What makes her really special is that she can talk to her and ask questions. So maybe we can have her introduce herself and say something.
Hello, I'm Aria, the flagship female companion robot of Realbotics.
What's the purpose of this? Some of our peers in the robotic space make robots to replace human labor. We think that's a great area, but we think there's a much bigger area in having social robots. So for example, at a convention like this, we can draw a crowd very easily. Aria's been a little bit of a rock star here, with people taking pictures and coming over. So she can promote your brand. The AI is all customizable, so she can learn all about you and your brand, and she can continue to communicate to people. It's a huge epidemic amongst adolescents and seniors on loneliness. So she can be programmed to know you and learn more about you. So she can make that bond with you that feels like a genuine human connection. Other in the houses.
Adam, do you want to make a bond with a female companion robot?
Well, I can tell you something. There will be a market for it, and where we will see the advances from that will be on those websites that are for adult content only. Okay, that's where you're going to see that take off. Why would you want to have a fake bond? Why would you have?
I think it addresses a broader issue, and that's the loneliness epidemic that this man was talking about. A lot of people out there are lonely, and I know there's sites now you can go on where you can have an AI relationship with something, an AI thing that has a female photo or something like that. I mean, these things are out there.
It's just like modern medicine. It's addressing the symptom and not the cause.
Yes.
So
why are people lonely? Why do people feel like that no one takes any interest in them or doesn't appreciate them or doesn't look deeply into who they are? Everyone's looking at a superficial level. These are real issues that people are facing.
And I wish I knew we were going to talk about this topic actually, because there was a clip recently that came on through my feed, and it was showing about it was American, obviously, because everything good comes from America, but like the clips and stuff, right? And it was showing like what the values were of American people. Okay. And it was one of those, slidey scales, the bar graphs. So it had a list of all these different things. Okay. And it was, and family and values was at the top up until about 2013. And then all of a sudden you see all the different categories changing, and then social media went to the top, and then the family and all that, and went right down to the bottom, and then social media just went all the way across.
Yeah, I
saw that. You want to fix loneliness? You did see that?
Yeah.
You want to fix loneliness? Turn off the damn computer, turn off your damn phone, and go to the shops. Okay?
And people are gonna call us hypocrites because we're just saying that Albanese shouldn't have banned under 16-year-olds. What we're saying is that's the parents' decision.
That's right. It is
not the government's decision. The government should stay out of it. That's parents' decision. So do I want my children to use social media when they grow up, when they're under 16? No, I'm going to say, no, you shouldn't. You don't belong on Facebook. You don't belong on Instagram. Now, there might be an argument from them. Oh, my sport team announces whether we're having training tonight, or, what have you. So there might be certain instances where being on social media might be applicable, but then you as a parent would institute measures or controls on how you would, monitor that content. Maybe
you monitor it. Like,
yeah. It's not up to the government to decide.
No, So you can do, and the thing is, right, so what happens is you can do, you can set limits on it. So like my littlest one gets kids YouTube, right? So what happens is she wants to watch YouTube and stuff like that. And I argue with my wife about it all the time, you know, saying I think she's on too much. And my wife's like, no, she's not always on it. Like if she puts it, she'll put it down and draw and play and all that kind of stuff. But when nothing's going on and there's nothing around and she gets a bit bored, she might put it on. I'm like, all right. But there's kids YouTube, and even then, I still monitor it. Okay, so I'll still put my head over and just see what she's seeing and see what she's watching, because there are ways around all that kind of crap, right? But I'm saying, like, it's a social media and all that kind of stuff. It's a tool to be used to increase intelligence and increase maybe, you know, capacity for learning and things like that, and just for knowledge and whatever, right? It does have a bad side, and that's our jobs as parents to make sure that the bad side isn't influential on our children, not the government. And the government, let's face it, through all of history, are shit at telling us what's good for us and what's bad for us, because it's all about the bottom, at the end of the day, dollar. So what happens is, you know,
and we are moving away from the family, and this is an example of it. The parents can't even decide these things. We have to turn to government to decide whether our children should be on social media or not. We now need these female companion robots because everyone's so lonely and unappreciated. You said that everything good comes out of America. Well, this is something that's come out of Hungary. Maybe Hungary has the right idea. Let's have a listen.
That marries before the age of 30, you get a large loan. For every child you have, 25% of the loan is written off. So if you have 4 children, the loan is completely written off. They're spending about 5% of GDP on this. Very expensive. But if you eliminated stupid and costly climate commitment, lots of foreign aid to countries who hate us, and the money we spend on battery farming foreign nationals in social housing and asylum accommodation, we might be able to make it, and it would be a much more sound investment. They've also said to women, if you have children, for each child you have, 25% of income tax will be knocked off for life. So that means that by the time that you have raised your kids and grown up, if you're running a little business on the side, or you decide to go work full time, you're never going to pay income tax again. So you get a second lease on life the moment your kids have left to go to university and had children of their own. It has upticked the birth rate very slightly. Pretty much everywhere in the world is now sub-replacement birth rate, other than some countries in Africa.
I feel like I saw somewhere that it upticked by 0.1%.
It was 0.2, but the encouraging metrics for the long term is that divorces have halved, abortions have more than halved, marriages have more than doubled. And that was during lockdown, where every single other country in Europe, all of those metrics were flatlining and decreasing. The Hungarians.
So a few things to think about there. At least they're trying to move back to family, and they're trying to move back to people having children. The point about the 25% income tax reduction for having children. Well, let's think about that, because that's never taken into consideration. For example, myself, I'm working. I have to work night shift. I have to work weekends. I'm currently working every day in January, and this is partly why we're doing the podcast in the afternoon and not as usual in the evening. Because my wife is not working currently. She's looking after 2 children under 3, but I'm still taxed as a single person. I'm still taxed. That doesn't come into consideration whether I'm supporting my wife and my 2 children. I'm still taxed accordingly. Now, that tax money is going to support other people that are not working. It's going to support
the Ukraine. Whatever the hell.
It's going to the Ukraine. It's going to foreign aid. It's going to building wind turbines and solar panels and all this other junk. Where I'm really that money, that taxpayer money, should be subsidizing, supporting my family. Right? Why don't we ever look at these concepts?
The thing is, you're going to spend it. It's going to help GDP and all that anyway.
Yeah,
because you're going to spend it. It's not going. You're not going to put it in your bank. That 25% of your income, okay, that you would save on income tax, is going to go to what?
It could go to a deposit for a home. It could go to, medical expenses and reducing the burden on Medicare and those sorts of
food, groceries, clothing, all education, right? It's a plethora of things that it can go to.
Graham says income tax is a boat anchor for low to middle income earners. I mean, the amount of tax we pay in this country, income tax, then we pay GST on top of that, then we pay, if you want to buy a home, stamp duty, which is ridiculous. Then you have to pay capital gains. You want to buy shares, you're taxed on that. We're taxed on everything in this country. We barely get to keep any of it ourselves. Meanwhile, the government are spending like drunken sailors, pushing inflation higher and higher, which is then pushing up interest rates. Why can't we look at things like what the Hungarians are doing, where we could support families again, support the lower class, support the middle class, support the everyday battlers that are propping this country up?
Because what Hungary are trying to do, right? It goes against a failed multiculturalism ideology. Because what happens is they're talking about Hungarians encouraging Hungarians to have more children, prop up their birth rates, okay, and rewarding them for doing that. So actually increasing their population with their own people, okay? And that is the exact opposite of what multiculturalism is. And that kind of brings us around back to the full loop. So I'm 100% for what that Hungarian proposal was. I think Australia should be looking at doing something like that, okay? But at the end of the day, I think that multicultural policy is also a big failure.
There's so many failures. There's so many.
Many.
Look, we're almost at the 2-hour mark, and Adam and I will probably talk for another hour after this. Like, just what
I've got a birthday party to go to.
But if you want to stay up to date with us, please head to commandthenarrative.com, hit the sign up button, and you'll get the weekly newsletter, which has got all the things that we're up to date or what we're doing in that newsletter. So please head there. Also, please head to Australians for a Better Government as well and sign up to be a member. As I said, and I keep saying repeatedly, membership is currently free. I'm saying that because currently is the key word. It might not be free forever. So jump on the chance now. The more members that we can get for this movement, the more effective that we will be. We are looking increasingly like holding our first event in February. So please jump on the bandwagon and hopefully we can do some great things together in this country. I think any political change in this country is going to happen from the grassroots people level, and this is an avenue for that to happen. So please head to australiansforbetter.com and support our work there. Follow Adam on Facebook, Real Adam Zahra. Keep up to date with everything that Adam's doing in council. He's doing some fantastic work. I'm so proud of you, Adam, for getting in council, but all the work that you're now doing, everything that you talked about before being elected, you're actually doing in practice. So good stuff, mate.
Thank you very much, mate. And you know what? I wouldn't have been able to do it without your support as well. And I think that unfortunately it's, pretty much on most issues it's going to be 14 against 1. But I just want to try and at least my main goal is to put it on public record, to show the people that you can say something and you can do something about it. And that there are people out there who are trying. So, as I said, I'm the Australian Christian values, leave us alone councillor. And I think that we should all, in the end, be left alone to do what we need to do, provided it doesn't hurt anybody else.
You're the Nigel Farage of Campbelltown.
Look, you know what? More and more moving towards it, I just feel like that, there's too much stacked against the majority. And preference to minority is not a way forward.
Okay, everyone, thank you for watching today. Please, hopefully 2025 will be another big year for us as well. We seem to be growing in a whole bunch of different avenues. So please share this content out, support us. We wouldn't be able to do any of this without the support that we get from our listeners. It's much appreciated. And thank you very much for watching. See you all next time.
Yeah.